Hi guys, how you doing? I'm doing okay. Um, I have problems with my short-term memory, and as you can tell from my videos, when I'm like, oh God, I forgot again, and it's a terrible feeling. It's like I don't hear crickets, like Nancy Pelosi hears crickets, but yeah, but I just forget. So what I do is I write it down because sometimes I think of it. Then when I'm ready to start, I was like, oh my God, I forgot what I was going to say. So I wrote this down. Now, a lot of it I wrote down, and some I could tell you straight, you know, from my thinking. Okay. Um, and wait a minute. Want to make sure I'm okay. Today is Sunday, and today starts the deportations, the court ordered deportations of people, of the illegal immigrants who filed for asylum, had their day in court, and were supposed to return and didn't return. Okay, and now there's a bench warrant for the deportations. Okay, now you are pulled over, and you're given a ticket, and you're told to sign the ticket. Now, the officer says very clearly, because he said it to me too, he says, when you're signing this ticket, you are not admitting guilt. You are agreeing, by signing this ticket, you are agreeing to make your case in court. In other words, if you object to the ticket, you can fight it in court in front of a judge. Okay. And that's one of the wonderful things about our country. Wonderful things. I don't think in some countries we have this, as a society. Okay. But you can argue your case in court. Now, there are some courts that are not too fair, and I went to a tenant landlord court, and I was not treated very fairly there. So I was ordered to vacate the premises because, I had gotten sick, and I didn't pay the rent. You don't pay the rent, guess what? You get evicted. Right? Oh, you're being mean to me. You're throwing me out on the street. Did you pay the rent? Well, no. Well, then we're just following the rule of law. By you not paying your rent, which pays for the employees who work there, including maintenance, who come in, or are supposed to come in, and repair what's supposed to repair. The plowing of the parking lot during a snowstorm, so you can get your car out of the parking lot and go to work or shopping or wherever you'll see them. And it helps pays our rent for you, because the landlord pays, I think it's a land tax or something, or a land, when you go to a store, they're paying rent too. I was going to start an arcade in a mall. Okay, I thought of, buying all these vintage pinball machines and video arcade units from the 1980s, and I was going to put it in a store in a mall, and I would call it the vault. So all you guys who remember those pinball machines, they can enjoy it. Thing is, you have to pay rent for that space in the mall. And I said, okay, how much is the rent? And they said something about like a few $1,000s because the value of the mall costs so much. So they have to get rent from you so that they can make sure you have electric, you have heat, you have air conditioning, the security, so, there's no greed or anything. But anyway, so I said, oops, I guess that's too much money. I can't afford that. And then I said, where could I open up an arcade where I would get the most revenue, where I would get the most customers? Because, hey, a mall is a great place for customers. I know because, I've seen quite a few arcades at a mall. I saw one in Connecticut, in Pennsylvania. I saw them a lot of places. Very. Okay. So, evictions, paying rent. Oh, sorry. Okay. Didn't realize that my hand was there. Okay. So, you have a ticket. You sign the ticket, which does not mean you're signing an admission of guilt. It simply means that you agree to come down to the courthouse and plead your case. And in front of a judge, the judge could decide whether or not to throw it out or enforce it. Or say, I watch a lot of people's court, And I've had to appear in court quite a few times. Hell, when I was in New York, I was behind like 3 other motorists. And we're all going about 10 miles an hour. 10 or 20 miles an hour. And according to law, you have to allow clearance per 10 feet, I think, per numbers of 10 mile per hour you're traveling. So if you're going 10 miles an hour, you need 10 feet clearance. If you're going 20 miles an hour, you need 20. And it's not an arbitrary number. It's there for safety reasons. Because when you have to respond to a crisis, like the car in front of you stops abruptly, you have to, it takes a little time, fraction of a second, for that information of the car in front of you stopping short to register in your brain, and then your brain instructs your leg to move to the brake and to press down the brake to stop the car. Okay. Now, if you have enough clearance in front of you, you will be able to stop the car before you potentially hit the car in front of you. Okay. So we're going 20 miles an hour. I'm at the end of this stream of cars going 20 miles an hour. And we're just creeping along 20 miles an hour. And then I could see the other cars in front of me, right? And then the lead car, I guess he saw the cops, because I looked in my rearview mirror and there was a police cruiser behind me. And I'm like, well, this is a 1-lane road. He doesn't have his lights on. He doesn't have the siren going. So apparently I don't need to follow the law and pull over to the side and let the officer through. Okay. So everything has rules, and it's there for a reason. Okay. So we're going along, and I tell you, when I see the police, even though I'm doing nothing wrong, I still freeze. It's like, oh my God, there's a cop right behind me. Is everything okay? Is everything okay? Well, I don't have an open container of beer. I don't have any drugs. I don't have any this. I don't have any that. I'm just going along, not doing anything wrong, but still I panic. There's a cop behind me. You know. So all of a sudden, the lead car in this little convoy, you know, the lead car takes off like a shot. Okay. Well, he has the most clearance in front of him. He's got no cars in front of him. He can go, right? Which I have no idea why they're going 20 miles an hour, though. And then after the first car takes off, this guy in the second car says, "Oh, good. I'm so glad he's moving on because I have to get somewhere." Boom, he goes. Then the next car behind him, he takes off. Then now it's left with just me in the car in front of me. He takes off. And then all of a sudden, when I'm about to move my foot to the accelerator and accelerate, the cop turns on his lights and siren. So I thought, I bet he's going after those guys, or speeding or something. So I pull over, and the cop pulls up behind me. I'm like, what the hell? Why am I being pulled over when those guys took off like a shot? And so he stops me, and I said, "Hello, officer. Is there a problem?" And he says, "You have been tailgating the car in front of you." "But officer, I was only going like 20 miles an hour. There were, there were several other cars. We were all going 20 miles an hour." He says, "You were tailgating." And he gave me a ticket for tailgating. And he said the same thing to me. He said, "Okay, this is your ticket to appear in court. When you sign this ticket, you are not admitting guilt. You are just agreeing to appear in court." I said, "Oh, wow." Because I had never been arrested at this point. Never been arrested. I might have had parking tickets or whatever. I hardly had any tickets. No speeding. At this point, I was still in New York, and I never, ever, ever at this point had any kind of moving violation ticket. So anyway, so I had my copy of the ticket, the officer had his copy of the ticket. And now, I appeared in court. Make a long story short, when I appeared in court and the officer appeared in court, he was the one who wrote the ticket, so he had to appear. He had to appear with me. Okay? And according to the ticket, it had all kinds of violations and the fines, allotted to each. Speeding, not stopping at a stop sign, not stopping for a bus, stop school bus, all those, right? And there was nothing for speeding. Tailgating. And because there was no moving violation for tailgating listed on the ticket, the officer, there was no way to put the fine on because there was no tailgating moving violation on the ticket. So I talked with my family, I talked with my friends, they all say, fight it. Fight it. Because you were going 20 miles an hour and the other drivers took off like a shot. So, fight it. So, okay, when's the court date? I'll be there. I will be there. After all, I signed a ticket agreeing that I will appear in court on that day. Okay. So the officer takes his copy of the ticket. He contacts the courthouse. He puts it on the docket. He makes sure that all the paperwork that had to do with this tailgating charge was presented to the court. The court has a copy. The court puts it on the docket. The court schedules the case to be dealt with and presented. Okay, the officer had to make arrangements so he can appear in court, and the judge is there, and the judge has his information on the bench. He has all the cases that were scheduled for that day. Okay, so those who fight tickets, okay, the writing of a ticket, I'm sorry, I wrote the ticket out. Okay, I'm sorry, I wrote the ticket out. You cannot reject that ticket. Rejecting the ticket is the same as not signing that ticket. Now, can the officer arrest you for not accepting the ticket? I don't know. What I do know is when you sign anything, whether it's an agreement, a loan agreement, application, said, I hereby attest that to the best of my knowledge what I presented was accurate. Anything you sign, as Judge Millian said on People's Court, if you make an agreement, you can get some toilet paper and a crayon and write it all out, make 2 copies with 2 signatures. You sign one, the other person signs the other. And that is a binding contract that can be enforced in court. Okay, so when you sign that ticket and agreeing to appear in court, okay, that you obligated yourself and you have to take care of federal business. You have to. It supersedes anything else. Anything else. You're now involved with the court. You're now involved with the system. Okay. Now, if you haven't been on your best behavior, you better be now. But so anyway, I appeared in court because I agreed to. I signed that paper, binding me to that commitment and promise to appear in court. As scared as I was, oh boy, what if, oh my God, I don't want to go to jail for this. I never appeared in court before. So I was terrified. Oh my God, am I going to go to jail? Excuse me. But my family said, don't be scared. Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen to you. You are just appearing before a judge and you can plead your case. So I appeared in court and I didn't even recognize the officer. He was sitting there and he stood up and the judge said, are you the officer who stopped this individual? He says, yes, Your Honor, I am. And so it was time for me. And I said, Your Honor, first of all, this is what happened. All the other cars were driving slowly, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as they took off, the officer turned on his lights. I pulled over because I thought he was going after them. And he pulled me over for speeding, tailgating. And the tailgating is not on the ticket, Your Honor. I don't see it. And if there's a fine to pay, I don't know what that fine is because it's not on the ticket. And the judge looked at it, and it's in most cases, you don't, you're not guilty to be proved. You're not. You're presumed guilty until you're proved innocent. No, you were innocent until proven guilty. That's the way it works, right? So I was considered innocent until I was proven guilty. So he looks at the ticket, and the judge says, "Sir, you are right. You're right." Now, because the judge wasn't there, and of course it wasn't a jury thing that we had to wait for 12 strangers to decide way to go. It was just a simple thing between me and the judge. And the judge made a judgment. Thank you very much for the word, judge. Okay. He looked at the ticket and he said, "You're right, sir. There is no tailgating on this ticket. There is no fine. We cannot assess it. And this case is thrown out. Sir, you're free to go. Thank you for appearing in court." And when I left that day, I was so relieved. I said, "Damn, that went well. Wow." And I was right. I was vindicated. Wow. So that's an example. Another example was when I was in Pennsylvania and I was driving along, and because I was suffering narcolepsy at that time,